Hello everybody, welcome along to the Weather Studio Live. I'm Alex Deakin and...
I'm Annie Shuttleworth.
Annie's back!
Yay!
It's good to have you back,
Yeah,
Annie.
thank you very much.
Yes.
Second week this
Yes,
week.
you made a guest appearance in last week's special, didn't you?
Yeah, but I don't think I did that well in the quiz, so hopefully I'll do a little bit better this week.
Yes.
But I have had a year off thinking about other things. So
Really?
Please don't expect too much.
Okay, well this week, we will have a quiz this week. Obviously there's lots and lots and lots to talk about this week. Welcome along. Maybe you're joining us for the first time. Obviously we've got a storm on our hands, the potential for some pretty nasty weather through the next 24 hours or so. So we'll be talking a lot about that.
Yep, Storm Claudia is arrived. It's bringing a lot of rain. There's a lot of heavy rain everywhere already. It's raining here. Definitely.
Yes, it is. I'm pretty confident that my football games will be off over the course of the weekend. But yeah, some significant flooding is expected through the day today. Amber warnings have been updated this morning. So really want to hear your questions. If you've got any questions about the weather, about the change in the weather, because things are also turning colder, as Annie will be explaining later too. But yeah, any questions, do pop them in the chat. Love to hear them. We've already had plenty in already. So there's already, as I say, lots to talk about. John Woodfield, 4735, asked a couple of questions about will this count as a Met Office storm, which the answer is yes, and would we have named it if the Spanish hadn't already named it. So the reason it's called Claudia, there's been a bit of confusion about that, the reason it's called Claudia and we're not saying Claudia is not because it's
not to test you.
It's not to test you. It's not to move away from the traitors or anything. It's because the Spanish named this weather system earlier in the week. It brought torrential rain to the Canaries and some flooding, and it's still bringing thunderstorms across Iberia at the moment. So they have a different list of names, and they named it earlier in the week. But it's the same low pressure system that's bringing us. So, as is traditional, that we keep the same name to avoid confusion. Yeah,
if we had named it, it would have been B on our list, Storm Bram, which is the next on the list. So we're still waiting for Bram to come along.
We are.
But we've got Claudia today.
But if you go to the Met Office Storm Centre, then it will appear there, like Benjamin did a few weeks ago, that we didn't name. So we've had a couple now that have affected the UK that weren't on our list. Our next one is B for Bram. Mark Crocker, 4155, can you please explain how you forecast the rain amounts ahead of the event happening?
Well, it's complicated, isn't it? Weather forecasting is very complicated. We've got a lot of data, a wealth of data that we use. We look at everything. All forecasts start with the current picture, so we'll be taking in all the data. We would have been taking in the information from Storm Claudia, where it's down in Spain, affecting the Canaries from yesterday, from the days before, and we use our computer programs to move all that forward to create our forecast. But the rain amounts, I mean, we look at how much rain is going to fall and the rainfall accumulations. You just look at rainfall over a set period of time. And for Storm Claudia, it's not necessarily how heavy the rain is in one particular hour or 2 hours, it's the persistence of the rain over a 24-hour period, and the fact that the heaviest rain or the most persistent rain is falling on already saturated ground, and that's why we've got such warnings out.
Yeah, so basically it comes from the models, doesn't it? The computer models predict how much rain there is going to be in any one particular location, but as Annie said, it's way more complicated than that. It's not just how much rain is going to fall, it's how much rain has fallen. So not only do we have computer models predicting the amount of rain, but we also have models that we work with the Environment Agency and Natural Resources Wales about how the rivers will respond to those amounts of rainfall. And the chief meteorologists here also have to take into account the wind direction and where that rain is falling, because that's one of the big unusual features about this storm. The wind's coming in from the east, so east-facing hills will see more of the rain, so it's an unusual direction and will affect where it's flooded. Exactly,
it's not necessarily falling in places that are used to the heavy rain or those strong winds coming in, so that will probably exacerbate the impacts from the storm.
Thank you for all your questions. As I say, do keep them coming in and do check out all the warnings, see which areas you are in. They have been updated this morning, so the amber warning has been extended a little bit into the Peak District, so check them out on our free app or on our website. And of course, we want to stay up to date with everything that we post on YouTube, so if you could hit that thumbs up button, that like button, that would help us out. If you haven't already subscribed, then subscribe to our YouTube channel too. Andrew Jones Maguire, obviously the storm is important. Yeah, we are mostly talking about that and most relevant at the moment, but the fact that the 10-day trend Mr. Burkill did that on Wednesday, was showing the potential for widespread snow next week. That really needs more detail too, and that is something that we will be talking about.
Absolutely, yes. The widespread snow, just a little preview. We're not expecting widespread snow, so sorry to disappoint anyone, but there's definitely going to be a change, a big change next week onwards.
There is the potential for a bit of snow, but it is mostly hills, and the forecast has changed, reduced the levels a little bit since Wednesday, but you will be going into detail for that. Certainly going to be cold enough for some wintry weather as we go into next week. And one question from the deep dive, I think from Aidan's deep dive on Tuesday, which got a lot of love. Thank you for all the really nice comments about Aidan's deep dive. It was a really interesting one. Question for the Weather Studio Live, actually put this from Weather Follower. Question for the Weather Studio Live. I know it's not often the case, but is there even a small scenario where a weather event in the southern hemisphere could influence weather in the northern hemisphere, or are they completely separate? The short answer is they're pretty much separate, aren't they?
They are. The sort of terrestrial weather, as we call it, what's happening on the surface, you're not going to get the same weather tropical storm from the southern hemisphere moving up and affecting the UK directly, because there's far too much to happen in between. But there could be some impacts, knock-on effects from that to our teleconnections.
Yes. So the global drivers, some things can influence. The atmosphere is one big thing, and El Nino, for example, can influence our weather. There is a bit of a teleconnection there. There's the Madden-Julian oscillation that's a series of tropical downpours that travel around the world naturally. That can influence our weather a little bit as well. So there are influences, but like you say, you're not going to get that direct result because storms can't cross the equator because of the lack of Coriolis, and they can only form 5 degrees, is it? Is that right? I got 5 degrees latitude away from the equator for a tropical storm to form, so they can't actually cross because of the way the world works. You could, in theory, I guess, when the Earth's tilted, have the meteorological equator in a slightly different place to the actual equator, so you could cheat a little bit, and something in the southern hemisphere could affect them, but that's cheating.
But it would be on a technicality, wouldn't it?
That would be a technicality.
Yeah. So I think that the short answer, yes, sometimes. So not really a short answer, but it's the teleconnections. If you want to know more about teleconnections, there's loads on our Met Office website.
Yes.
We've got videos on our YouTube channel as well. They are the drivers of our weather, and really, really interesting, in fact.
Yes, I think Honor did that quite recently, the teleconnections video. So Victoria, Rosie might be able to put that in the chat. I should have said welcome to our Facebook followers as well, Facebook watchers. We focus on our YouTube guys because we've been doing this for a year on YouTube, but we've been doing it for a month now on Facebook as well. So if you're watching on Facebook, hello to you, welcome along, and join in, ask us anything you like about the storm or about weather. Quite a few questions obviously coming in about Storm Claudia. Riley K's Norfolk's quite bad. How much rain has there been? Sean Morgan, how is Carmarthen looking, please? Stephen Bate, Newbury seems to be right on the southern edge. Light rain on and off. Is it going to get a bit worse? So yes, it is going to get a bit worse in Newbury, but you are on that southern edge. I think the worst condition is going to be further north from you. Carmarthen isn't looking great, as we will see shortly. That's one of the areas where I think we'll see some very heavy rain. How much rain has there been? Dan Holly has just posted, one of our deputy chiefs. Thanks for that, Dan. 43 millimetres in Trafalog in southeast Wales since 6 o'clock last night. So that's kind of so far in this current spell.
I think quite widely, though, we've seen 20 to 30 millimetres of rain across a really broad area of central England into southeastern areas of Wales as well. So that's where we're seeing the rain so far today, and that's where it's going to continue to fall as well. So we're going to start to see impacts building up through the rest of the day from that rainfall.
We have seen more further north yesterday, and there was quite a bit of flooding across parts of southern Scotland and northern England from an old weather front. That's now kind of decayed and fizzled out. It wasn't really part of the same system. We did have a yellow warning in place for that, so we've already had kind of 50-60 millimetres of rain there, but it's drier there today. The main event from this is the intense rain. It's going to be kind of double those values, 120 millimetres possibly across southeast Wales. So we're particularly concerned about southeast Wales, the Gwent valleys, the Black Mountains, the heads of the valleys in that part of the world, because we've seen a lot of rain here recently, and those kind of numbers, because of the change in wind direction as well, are going to fall in areas that aren't necessarily used to it, different catchments. It is likely to cause some significant flooding.
Yeah. Should we take a closer look?
Yes, in fact, why don't you head up to the board and talk us through everything. Keep your questions coming in. Keep any questions about, not just about Claudia, but about weather or climate in general. We'll try and answer them as best we can. But yeah, do keep them coming in. And we'll try and answer them. Annie's at the board now to go through all the warnings and stuff.
So as we said, we've got Storm Claudia in situ. Here's the heavy rain we saw yesterday across northern areas, but it's now towards the south where our attention is turning for Storm Claudia. This is the radar showing the rain that's moved in overnight, and through today the rain has just started to build up across a large swathe of central England. We're seeing some across the far south coast as well, but it's a little bit more on and off here, and it's across parts of southeastern Wales where we're really going to see the rainfall totals building up. Now this is all due to Storm Claudia, which was named by the Spanish Met Service a few days ago. In fact, we saw the biggest impacts across the Canary Islands. You can see Storm Claudia there named. It's a little bit different to other storms we've seen in the UK. We usually see across the UK, often we see an area of low pressure sweep through the country, but actually this area of low pressure just sits down to the south and west of the UK through the next 24 hours, 48 hours. And what that does is it just continues to bring pulses of heavy rain across this central band of the UK. That's where we've got the weather warnings in force. Now, it's not just the rain. The rain is going to be the greatest impact. It's also the wind. See here the gust field showing some very strong gusts to the west of the Pennines in particular, but also through the Irish Sea. Parts of Ireland also going to see some impacts from Storm Claudia. Just south of Dublin could see some very strong easterly winds as well as some high rainfall totals as well. As we head into the weekend, it is going to calm down. Slowly but surely it will get drier and calmer. So it's through Friday where we're going to see the greatest impacts from Storm Claudia. As I said, we do have warnings in force. Let's take a closer look at the warnings. So we've got yellow and amber warnings in force. So that's the lowest level of warning is yellow. Amber is the second level of warning across that we issue here at the Met Office. Now we've got, to be honest, a lot of England and Wales covered by a warning at some point through today, but it's the amber warnings where we could see the highest impacts. And actually there's two amber warnings. There's one for slightly lower impacts across parts of England, but it's southeastern Wales where we're expecting to see those highest impacts. That's because we'll see the highest rainfall totals here, most likely. We can have a closer look at the rainfall totals that we're expecting to build up. Now, it's quite a clear picture that we're going to see the heaviest rain through Friday, as you can see over here. As I said, as the weekend goes on or arrives, it will get that much drier across the UK. So there is some respite to come, but we've got a lot of rain still to fall through today. So we can have a look at the 24-hour rainfall total. So it's through Friday, this 24-hour period where we will see the heaviest rain. A little bit has fallen already through Thursday night, and there's a bit more to come through Saturday. So this doesn't show quite the highest amounts, but it's quite clear. You can see the orange and reds building up across parts of southeastern Wales. We've got it's an area from sort of Newport, following the River Usk up through there. That's where we could see the heaviest rainfall totals, 100 to 150 millimetres. Now we've already seen about nearly 50 millimetres, as we heard earlier. 43 millimetres has fallen across in this area already, and so a further 100, possibly more millimetres could fall, and those impacts are going to start to become even bigger. But it's not just this area. We've got 50 mils. Close to 100 mils even falling across more central areas of the UK, heading towards Norfolk as well. Someone listening as well said they're in Norfolk. They've already seen some rainfall, quite a lot of rainfall here as well. Now I just want to highlight this area of South East Wales. I know we've talked about it quite a lot already, but in particular because the warning we've issued here is a separate amber warning, but I don't know if you've seen our warning matrix before, but this is how we decide what warning we'll issue, what colour warning. It's not as simple as a simple traffic light system. It's based on the likelihood of something happening and the likelihood of how high the impacts are going to be. So that area of southeastern Wales, parts of Newport up to Abergavenny and further north, we've got a amber warning, but it's of medium impact, medium likelihood of high impacts happening. And there are, as a result, severe flood warnings in force for these areas. We could see power cuts, communities cut off in these areas if we do see the highest totals falling in the most sensitive areas where we've already had a lot of rain, not just today, but in recent weeks as well. So please make sure you keep up to date with the warnings, have a look at the warning matrix, follow any flood guidance if you are in an amber warning area in particular. But it's also worth noting that yellow warnings could also see some of these bigger impacts as well. So we've got heavy rain forecast, but we've also got these strong winds as well.
Got a question about that, strong winds actually.
Yeah.
Tsar Space Monkey, we've got very strong winds here in Preston, Lancashire. Is that connected to the storm? Again, short answer is yes. Eve Malpass, it seems pretty calm here in South Wales. When will the rain start to hit us? Well, it depends where you are in South Wales, but it's more southeast Wales we're concerned about. So if you're further west, it probably won't be as bad, but it's in the east, and it's because of the wind direction coming in from the east. Another question about that, Tom Elliott, why does the wind direction change the severity of the rain in hilly areas? And it's to do with the way that the hills are facing. So the hills actually, if you've got a hill and the wind pushes the air up, the hill actually generates more rain. So it's called orographic rain because the air gets pushed up and it saturates quicker and it generates more rain on the side of the hill that is facing the rain. The wind rather. So most of the time the wind's coming in from the west, particularly in South Wales, so the same bit gets hit all the time. So when the wind's coming from the other direction, the bit that doesn't get as much, that's normally on the lee side, it gets a bit more shelter, it gets more. So it falls into different valleys. So it's just that it's not as robust, it doesn't generate more rain particularly, but it does on one side compared to the other, and those areas may not be as robust because we don't get easterly winds as often as you get west or southwesterly winds. So that's why the winds make a difference. But yeah, the winds are picking up, aren't they?
Absolutely, yeah. So not only are those winds, the wind direction, going to bring heavier rain, it's going to pep up the rainfall, it will also bring some impacts from the wind itself. So particularly it's to the west of the Pennines, so it's usually to the east of the Pennines that you often see the winds strengthen as well. We also have the Helm wind active today as well, which is the only named wind in the UK. So you can see it's across the western side of the Pennines Friday through today, and into Saturday it does get a little bit calmer, but notice we've also got some really strong winds in the Irish Sea as well. So it's the M6, I think, which is most likely to be affected. We've got a strong crosswind through there, so there's probably going to be some travel disruption from the wind as well as the rain if you're out and about. So I think there's a lot more, there's going to be a busy period if you're travelling through this evening. I'd definitely make sure you can avoid that disruption. If you don't need to travel, then maybe reschedule or go tomorrow morning. It does look like it's going to be a little bit drier and calmer through the weekend.
Yeah, there's a few questions about that as well. Just before we get there, Howard Sherwood, please pronounce Claudia correctly. It's Claudia, not Claudia. We know that's how we pronounce it in the UK, and if we'd named it, and if Claudia had been on our list, then we would be pronouncing it like that. But it's not our name. The Spanish named it, and that is how they pronounce it. So same if they'd called it Pablo, we'd be calling it Storm Pablo. We wouldn't be calling it Storm Paul. So it's Claudia because it was named by the Spanish Weather Service, and that's we keep their name to keep things consistent. Gareth A. Smith. Alex May, explain to me when storms on social media, it all goes over the top. It's like you guys and social media companies act like there's never been a storm before. Oh my God, we're all at risk. Well, Gareth, sorry you feel a bit like that, but we have to get the message across. This is serious weather. Okay, there is going to be some flooding from this. So when there is a storm, when there is the threat to life, we do have to kind of talk about it in very serious terms. Apologies if you think that's going over the top, but the reason we name storms is to get the message out there so that people can prepare. And we've got all kinds of stats, all kinds of data to back it up, that when we do name storms and when we do put it out on social media, people react and people take precautions. People put their trampolines away. People won't be travelling tomorrow because of this storm, or this afternoon because of this storm. So that's why you may think it's going over the top, but we're just trying to protect people, help people enjoy the weather when the weather's fine. But when the weather isn't fine, we have to let people know. That's kind of our job. Skinner Lloyd, will we get embedded thunderstorms? And quite a few people asking about a red warning. So there is the chance of thunderstorms, isn't there?
Yes,
coming
there
particularly later.
Later on in the after sort of the bulk of the rain from Storm Claudia moves away. There we go. Yeah, we can have a look from. Get just the rain going here. So this is Storm Claudia, but you can see we get pulses of more thunderstorms moving up through tonight, and that's where there's the slight uncertainty. That's why we haven't got a red warning out, but we do have the potential for red level impacts in that area of southeastern Wales in particular, because we've got that uncertainty on whether we'll see those thunderstorms developing. I'll just play it through again. So with showers, there's less certainty. The rain we're seeing today from Storm Claudia is frontal rain, and there's usually a lot more confidence on how the totals will build up. But with showers, because of the nature of them, the popcorn nature of them, you don't know exactly where the heaviest showers are going to be. But if those heavy showers, the heaviest showers, fall on the already saturated ground, then that's when we've got the potential to see those severe impacts of severe flooding across that area.
Yeah, there isn't a red warning in place at the moment. There's lots of people asking about the red warning. And don't really want to speculate about it, but the amber warning, as Annie's said, in that matrix, only one step away from red. So we are expecting significant impacts, and it does depend a little bit on exactly where we see those thunderstorms. But at the moment, the warnings are amber. But particularly that one in southeast Wales, that's the area we're most focused in on. That's where we could see significant impacts in that zone. But right the way across the amber warning areas, because there are two, we could easily see a month's worth of rain. That is going to cause some flooding problems. And then there's the broader yellow warning and the wind warning too. Right, I think we've covered Claudia for now. Lots of people asking about what happens next. Some people mentioning the SSW, which is for another video, to be honest. Maybe we'll talk about that next week. But yeah, sudden stratospheric warming. There's been some chatter around that and how that can impact our winter as we head into December. That is, as I say, not for today, because we've got too much to talk about today. But in the shorter term, there's lots of people asking about, is it going to get colder? And we've already seen those questions about the 10-day trend and any snow next week.
Well, I've got all the answers just here. So after Storm Claudia, across the UK, we're expecting our first taste of winter as our wind direction switches from that mild southwesterly up to a northerly, or across the UK, which is a very cold direction. We've already got that cold air across Scotland. If you're in Scotland, you will already be feeling that first taste of winter. But that cold air is going to become far more widespread as we head through the weekend and the latter part of the weekend into next week. Monday into Tuesday is when we'll start to see that really cold air building across the UK. You can see this northerly wind. It's an Arctic maritime air mass going to bring very cold air, also some quite clear air. So there's probably going to be some quite crisp and nice weather, if you like crisp autumnal weather across the UK. But we're going to see an increase in frosts, a risk of ice, and for some of us, some snow. I don't want to get too many people's hopes up if you are looking forward to snow this winter, as it's not expected to be widespread, but there will probably be some snow through next week. So we've got this Arctic maritime northerly wind direction across the UK throughout next week. We could see a little bit of a front, a trough in our isobars, perhaps a small low pressure system bring a pepping up of that snowfall across parts of Scotland on Tuesday into Wednesday, and then potentially some more widespread, some snow a little bit further south. But we're only looking at a centimetre or two, and as the sea is still fairly warm at this time of year and the land is still fairly warm, we've not had that cold winter bringing down the temperatures of the sea and the land. Not much is expected to settle or last all that long. And as we head towards the end of next week, it will probably get a little bit milder. So how cold is it going to get across the UK? Well, As you will have noticed, it's been exceptionally mild for a fair old time, a week or so across the UK. It's been pretty mild by day, but also by night. And you can see that in temperatures 10, 11 degrees, 15 degrees. We've had temperatures in the high teens through a lot of this week across the far southeast and last week. And then as the week goes on, next week, that's when we start to see the temperatures starting to drop. So these are the daytime maximum temperatures, which are actually lower than the minimum temperatures we've had lately across the UK. 4 or 5 degrees by Wednesday, and we're going to have that brisk northerly wind as well. It's particularly the far northeastern areas where we'll be exposed to the North Sea breeze through Wednesday and Tuesday that we'll see that very cold weather, and it will probably last into Thursday as well. So those are the maximum temperatures. For those that are wondering about frost, well, for frost to form, we need the temperature to be below 0, and there's certainly a chance of seeing temperatures below 0 across the UK. This chart shows you the percentage chance of the temperature being above 0. So if you've got a high chart, a yellow colour here, that shows it's going to be fairly warm. But as the colours tend towards more of a green or purple, that's a greater chance of the temperature falling below 0, which would allow for a frost. Now, it's not really going to happen much by day. It's the nighttime temperatures that we will likely see dipping below 0. So Monday night and Tuesday night, we'll start to see it more widely dipping below 0, and this is Wednesday night where it looks like it could be a very widespread cold night. A really great chance, particularly inland. Notice the coasts are still that yellow colour. That's because the sea is still fairly warm and you're going to see the wind coming off the sea. So that means that if you're in coastal areas, as is pretty common, you're less likely to see a frost. But it's inland areas, particularly sheltered valleys, that's where you're going to see increased risk of frost. And as I said, it will come with some quite nice crisp weather. So I think if you're looking for photo opportunities of frosty weather, then definitely next week is going to be your best chance for that. How long is this cold going to last? There's a little less certainty, as there always is with the forecast as you go further ahead, of how cold it will be for how long. But if we head to next weekend, so the weekend of the 22nd, 23rd of November, now the chance of it being below 0 is definitely fallen, so it looks a little bit milder across the UK. But what are the actual temperatures showing? So we can see this is the ensemble data we're looking at here, so it's lots of model runs, 50 or so model runs. Now the coldest couple of runs, so that's the 5th percentile of these, show that still by next weekend there's a chance it could still be pretty cold overnight as well as probably by day. -1 showing up in a few spots, particularly across northern areas. But the warmest couple of runs, so the 95th percentile, very different story, 11 or 10 degrees. So there's a big contrast in the temperatures by the time we get to next week. And we can see that in the spread of that in a graph form. So it's quite likely that next week will be very cold, or much colder than it has been. As I said, our taste of winter, but as the week goes on, it's the confidence in that does decrease.
It appeared then and then disappeared.
It's back.
It's back now.
We're back. So you can see that that's in this graph. So this is all the ensemble runs. So that's one model run multiple times, and we look at the different outputs from all of those model runs. And you can see that as time goes on, so it's next weekend really where the confidence starts to decrease, the spread in the model runs increases, and some stay colder, some go quite a bit warmer. So this is for, we have a look, that's for somewhere across near central England, not far from Birmingham there. As we look further north, it's a pretty similar trend. The temperatures are that much cold. You can see they've shifted down a little bit, but it's from Friday onwards we get that spread. But there is quite high confidence. You can see they're all very tightly packed, particularly that Monday to Tuesday, very dark mark appearing there, that it will remain cold Thursday to Friday, and then we start to see an increased likelihood of it becoming warmer again. So a fairly long cold period next week, but probably turning that much milder as we head towards the weekend. Now, last but not least, the chance of snow, which I'm sure a lot of you are waiting to hear. Now, as I alluded to earlier, there is a slim chance of snow across more southern areas. This chart shows us the percentage chance, the probability of 1 centimetre of snow falling. This is Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week. So it's going to get colder as the week goes on. So initially we start to see that northerly wind bringing in a few showers across northern areas of Scotland. Snow flurries are expected. We could see some ice as well. It's wet ground around from the recent rain as well. We'll start to see a risk of ice too. But with daytime temperatures increasing above zero, it's not going to, the snow won't stick around for too long. But as we get into Tuesday, we could see more of a system, a small low pressure system or a weather front push through Scotland. So there's a greater chance of lower levels, more widely in Scotland, seeing a centimetre or two. It will probably be fairly slushy though, and it may only be restricted to higher ground. And then by Wednesday, we get more of a direct northerly wind, which continues to allow showers to form across parts of Scotland, but also down through the Irish Sea as well, because you need moisture for showers to form. So as that wind direction pushes in across the Irish Sea, across parts of Pembrokeshire and down across the southwest as well. We get something called the Pembrokeshire Dangler developing. We could see some sleety, snowy showers falling across southwestern England. But again, sea temperatures and land temperatures still too warm at this time of year for anything to settle for too long. And it will probably be through the early hours, overnight, that sort of time when you could see some snow falling. And this is just a chance. We've got a 24 to 40% chance of snow across more southern areas. Obviously a greater chance, closer to 100% by Wednesday across the far north of Scotland. So I think it's pretty likely we're going to see some snow next week, mainly over Scotland, potentially a little further south.
Excellent stuff, Annie. Thank you very much. Yeah, of course, a 20 to 40% chance of snow means there's a 60 to 80% chance that we don't see any snow as well.
It's not much to hold on to.
No, it's not a lot to hold on to, but you know, we don't often see cold spells like this, particularly after such a mild start to November. Loads of questions coming in. Thank you so much for all of those. Keep them coming. We're trying to answer as many as we can. If we don't get around to answer them today, we might answer them on another time next week, maybe, for example. And if you're not watching this live, if you're watching it after the event, again, just do keep the comments, keep the questions coming in, because we do try and read as many of them as possible. Few to come up. We just answered Sam Foley's question. Sam Foley, after this storm, how long will the cold spell be around for? Answered that one. Tick. Well done, Annie.
Done. One step ahead of you.
One step ahead. But thank you for the question, Sam Foley. Sanj Scouse, is the rain band stretching from the Azores to Siberia? I guess that weather front, the link kind of almost does. If we're looking maybe from tomorrow, it's not really the same system, but that rain, the warm front link from Claudia does extend up to, across Finland, doesn't it? Further north from that link of that front up there.
All the way up here, yeah.
And then it kind of comes down, so it's kind of a
slightly disjointed here. Remember, around the low pressure, we've got the winds coming in this direction. Yeah. So they go anti-clockwise. So it's not really, it's sort of moving, it's pivot. Actually, it's sort of feeding back in, isn't it? The rain we're having here.
But it kind of sort of does, doesn't it?
How it keeps going.
And there's a separate little low down by the Azores, so it's quite kind of different. But it does extend a long way, that weather front, and there's a lot of cold air coming in behind it as well.
There is, and the cold air we're going to see in the UK is also going to push in quite widely across Europe as well. So it's not just us that are turning colder.
Shout out to Joseph. Kathleen, his mum has messaged, and Joseph's a big fan of the show, and it's his birthday on Tuesday. So happy birthday for Tuesday, Joseph. Enjoy that. David Knights, 9421. When was the last time we had snow in the UK in November?
I think last year.
Last year. We get snow reasonably frequently in November. This November's been odd in the fact that we haven't seen any cold weather so far. It's been exceptionally mild, but most Novembers we get snow across parts of Scotland.
Was it down here you had snow?
We did have some in November. in the south, either last year or the year before.
It was last year, I think, because I wasn't here. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, I think we did. Yeah, so it's reasonably common. It's becoming less common, but it is reasonably common to get snow in the UK in November. Gareth A. Smith, what are the chances of snow in London? We've seen that, less than 10%, or about 10% for 8 centimetre, so 90% chance that
unless you get a particular wind direction. It's all very a technicality on the wind direction with northerlies. For London, I think, you might see something a little bit sleety if you catch any of those showers, but nothing that's going to be White Christmas style.
Yeah, no. And he says New York is covered in it. I didn't know that New York was having snow at the moment, but New York gets snow much more frequently than we do. New York is a lot colder than we are because of the AMOC, and there's a whole video about that Aidan made about the Gulf Stream, which is an extension of the AMOC, and that's why the UK, even though it's further north than New York, is a lot warmer than New York. And hopefully Victoria and Rosie will be able to pop that video, link to that video in the chat, which explains all about why the UK is warmer than New York. But New York's seeing some snow at the moment. I did not know that.
My brother lives there and I had no idea. So
there you go.
I'll have to get a live report from him.
Yeah, we should. I'll get a little car. Yeah. That would be good. We will do the quiz in a minute, but we're getting so many questions in. I want to keep these questions coming. But we will do our quiz in a second. Stephen Griffin 9929. Does space weather like solar flares affect our weather? The short answer to that is no, but we have seen lots of space weather this week. It's a real shame it was cloudy. Was it Wednesday night?
It was Wednesday night. I know, I think it was one of the biggest, I don't remember the last time we had that the highest chance of seeing the aurora this far south, but we don't often get it, do we? And unfortunately, it was so cloudy. It was a blanket of cloud across the UK. Yeah. So not many people saw it.
Parts of northern Scotland got a few glimmers, but yeah, it could have been visible down here. It was that kind of level as was May last year when I did see it. It was the only time I've ever seen it. But it was, it's a shame it was so cloudy. But generally speaking, it does affect our equipment and it can affect our satellite. And in fact, I think the satellite, there was a bit of a glitch in our satellites earlier this week when that solar flare went through. George Birmingham is asking if you can explain the Pembrokeshire Dangler. I think that's for a whole separate. I think we may make an explainer on the Pembrokeshire Dangler. But it's when you get convergence over Pembrokeshire and they get in a northerly.
You get a dangling shower coming off the Pembrokeshire coastline. So yeah.
Jez 1703. Given the very dry summer, has the cumulative rainfall made up for this yet? Well, that's an interesting question. Yes and no. Kind of yes in western areas, no in the east. So that's one of the reasons why the amber warning hasn't been extended further, because the antecedent, the preceding conditions have been quite dry. Less worried about flooding. But obviously still in the yellow warning area, so flooding can happen. But
flooding happens for two reasons. Generally, the Environment Agency or the local flooding agency, it's either for surface water flooding, which is often the rain falling directly causing some flooding there and then, or river flooding, which often happens at a later date. So if you've already got saturated ground or high river levels, that's when you're more likely to get river flooding. But if no matter sort of the ground situation, if you're going to get a lot of rain in a short space of time, you're going to get that surface water flooding. But it's generally river flooding which is the main risk for Storm Claudia.
Right, it is 3 minutes to 1. We haven't even started the quiz yet.
Crikey.
Shall we do the quiz? Let's do the quiz. Cue the music, Greg. I've got to find where I've hidden the quiz now, because I'm keeping it secret from you.
I've been looking over your shoulder all morning, trying to get a look at it.
Annie's first quiz. I've realised it's probably it's a bit niche, this week's quiz, but given if you're new to the Weather Studio Live, every week we do a quiz. It's multi-choice. One of us asks the other questions, but you join in at home. We'll be running the polls, hopefully on Facebook, certainly on YouTube as well. It'll be 5 questions, 4 choices. And yeah, Annie will be pinging her answers to me on her laptop. She's not Googling the answers. She's not cheating.
I'm not doing something else.
Not chatting to your brother in New York about whether there's been snow or not. This week, the Spanish Weather Service named Storm Claudia.
Right.
So it's kind of linked to that.
Spain?
Well, the Spanish Met Service specifically. How well do you know the Spanish Met Service?
Incredibly niche.
Yes. I thought as
Wish
much.
me luck.
So, Spain are part of the Southwest group. So we have our group of naming storms, the Western Europe group with Met, Aaron and KNMI in the Netherlands. There is a Southwest group, of which Spain are part of. How far did they get down the alphabet last year? I realise I must have written this question. It was a bit harsh on you because you spent the last year
Yeah, for those that don't know, I've literally just come back from maternity leave. A year. I've obviously been experiencing the weather, but can't say I've been following it quite as closely as I usually do.
The Spanish weather service,
particularly not in Spain. No.
AMET, as they're known. How far did they get down the list in terms of storm names last year? I'll give you a clue. It was a busy year. Did they get to A, Yana, B, Conrad, C, Martina, or D, Olivia?
Ooh, I'm trying to think if I remember these names at all, if they're ringing any bells.
So how far down the list did they get in the Southwestern group last year?
What was the first option?
Yana, so J, B, Conrad, C, Martina, D, Olivia. Let us know. Fill your answer in the chat, either through the polls or just put your answer in the chat if you want to.
Okay,
obviously, they've got to see already this year. You have put your answer in. Thank you very much for that. So, yeah, we'll move through the quiz quite quickly this week because we've got lots of stuff, more interesting stuff to talk about rather than my silly quiz. But people like the quiz, so we wanted to keep it in.
We're getting some wild guesses in.
Yes, most popular answer was C, Martina.
Okay. That's not what I said.
That's not what you said, no. Anyway, we'll get the answers in a minute. Where is AMET HQ? AMET, the Spanish Weather Service. Where is their headquarters? Is it A, Madrid, B, Barcelona, C, Seville, D, Valencia? Madrid, Barcelona, Seville, Valencia.
Okay.
So we're at Met Office HQ in the UK, which is in Exeter and Devon. Where is the Spanish Met Service HQ? Is it in the capital, Madrid? Highest capital in Europe. Interesting stat about Madrid.
Is it?
B, Barcelona, because they sometimes get snow in Madrid.
Well, why would they not base their weather service?
Yes, they get the most interesting weather arguably in Madrid, so maybe they've based it there. We'll find out. B, Barcelona, C, Seville, D, Valencia. Keep your answers coming, fill in the polls. Let us see how you're doing. 31% think Madrid, only 16% think Barcelona.
Pretty level pegging on Valencia and Seville. Barcelona.
Yeah, I guess the Catalonian weather service is probably in Barcelona.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Now this is a tricky one.
This is tricky.
When were?
I'll tell you. It's been guesswork so far.
Did you not know? I think. Yeah, sorry, it's a bit harsh this quiz. But I think you'll get the last two. When were AMET formed? When was AMET, the Spanish Weather Service, formed? Was it 1867, 1887, 1907, or 1927? So the Met Office were formed in 1854. When were the Spanish equivalent formed? They weren't called AMET initially, but when were they formed? 1867, 1887, 1907, 1927. Every day's a school day. We're all learning and having fun, aren't we? Yes,
okay.
Yes, we are, Alex.
What's everyone going for? I want to see.
This is a ridiculously difficult quiz. Yeah, it is.
I agree, George.
George, yeah, sorry.
I think there needs to be a pre-check on the quiz.
Yeah, maybe there should be. Yeah, sorry. It was in a bit of it's been a busy week.
I like the Spanish theme, though. It does make sense.
Exactly, yeah. Thank you. And you will get the, I think you'll get the last two.
Okay, here we go. What's everyone voting? 1887 highest, 1907 quite equal. Yeah, I think they probably were a little bit behind the UK.
Yeah.
But how far behind? That's the question.
That is the question. There's a few guesses going in. Only 13% for 1867. Okay. The Southwest Storm Naming Group.
Yeah.
You're all over that. Incorporates Spain and Portugal and 3 other countries. Which of these countries is not in that Southwest Europe naming group?
Okay.
A, France, B, Belgium, C, Luxembourg, D, Switzerland. France, Belgium, Luxembourg or Switzerland are not in the Southwestern European storm naming group. So the Western Europe one, the one that the UK is in, UK, Republic of Ireland and the Netherlands, KNMI. There is a northern group and there is a southwestern group. In that southwestern group there are 5 countries, Spain and Portugal, and 3 others. Which of these are not France, Belgium, Luxembourg or Switzerland? Annie has locked her answer in. Keep your answers coming. While you're there, hit the like button, because you're all loving this quiz, right? You're all loving it. So hit the like button. Spread the love.
I'm concentrating. I've not got much to say.
Ham says, is Belgium with us? I'll give you a clue. Mazhem, no. They're not. You might think so, because they're pretty close to the Netherlands, but they're not with us, the Belgians.
No.
Right, question 5. This is more Claudia linked.
Okay.
So when Claudia Winkleman, when did she become one of the main presenters on Strictly?
Oh, well, that was after... She came after Bruce, didn't she?
Yes.
Yeah.
So Bruce started it with Tess.
With Tess, and
obviously
now...
Tess and Claudia are now leaving. But when did that switch happen?
I didn't know they were leaving. I haven't been following this year.
Oh, yeah.
They haven't left, have they?
No, they're leaving at the end of this. This is their last series together.
Well,
Breaking news. That was a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago. Rosie upstairs is doing the questions. She was shocked.
I'm also shocked. You've seen it live shocking happening right here.
That is the face of someone shocked. The quiz is out the window because I have broken news to Annie. When did Claudia Winkleman become the main presenter?
Claudia
Winkleman. 2012, 2014, 2016, 2018. When did Bruce leave? Bruce Lee. Put your answers in. If you don't want to do the poll, just put your answer in the chat. Keep your questions coming. We'll do a few more around Storm Claudia once the quiz is over. But
what were the options again?
2012, 2014, 2016, 2018.
Let's go with...
Let us know how you're doing. Hope you're playing along at home on Facebook. Sorry if you think the quiz is too tricky, everyone.
What's everyone saying about it? No idea.
Going for a letter I haven't picked yet, Ruth O'Hare. Now, Ruth, if you knew how I did quizzes, that would not be a good plan, because I'm aware that people do that, and so I,
Oh, so they all...
I don't go
I actually used the exact same logic on that previous question.
Well, you haven't done enough quizzes with me, because I know that
certainly haven't.
People always go for C. So actually, there's an invert. I often go away from C because I know that people tend to go for C. Anyway, we digress. Chazando LFC has gone for 2014. Scene Artisan 2060. 2014 is the most popular answer.
There's not actually a lot of fans of Strictly that
also
watch the Weather Studio live. The Venn diagram obviously doesn't cross, does it?
That is an interesting Venn diagram.
I can't think of many situations when the weather would affect dancing, but...
No, that's true. Yeah, there isn't a lot of crossover there, except for...
Could be my first
Claudia. Right, what did you go for? You've gone A for question 1.
Yep.
And the correct answer is... What was question 1 again?
I'm
just trying to find it here.
Oh, how far they got through the list.
How far down do they get? You said A, Yana. The answer is actually D.
Oh,
Olivia. They got a long way down last year. There are quite a few little ones that went through, I won't say the Maldives, not the Maldives, the Azores. And so that's being part of Portugal. They named. So yeah, they got to Olivia last year. They got a long way down. So that was D. Well done if you said D. I
said Yana because I was like, well, I remember that one, but there were obviously more afterwards.
Since then. Where are AMET based? Where is their HQ? Dick! Madrid.
Yes. Well, I thought capital. It's probably the safest, but an educated guess.
An educated guess. And as I said, the highest capital in Europe. And it does get a bit of snow every now and then. When were AMET formed? You said...
Well, I went with B, which was 1887,
1887, and the correct answer is B.
Woohoo! 2 out of 3.
2 out of 3, so you're doing all right.
Okay. I'd like to get at least one more.
Which of the following are not in the Southwest Storm naming group? France, Belgium, Luxembourg, Switzerland. You said...
Switzerland.
Switzerland.
Oh, you're not giving me good vibes.
But I should, because it's right.
Yay!
Yay!
Oh.
Yeah, slightly bizarrely, Luxembourg and Belgium are in the Southwest group. You'd have thought Belgium would be more in line with us, but
Switzerland likes to do things differently, don't they?
Switzerland definitely like to do things differently. So that was D, Switzerland. Well done if you said D, Switzerland. And when did Claudia Winkleman become the main presenter on Strictly? You said...
Oh, I think C. Was that 2016? I don't know if it's a little bit too late.
Yeah.
Is
2
it?
years too late. It's 2014.
2014. Okay.
She took over from. But I think 3 out of 5 is very, very good indeed. Let us know how you did. Put your scores in the chat.
3 out of 4, but lucky from Chris Krivener. Same here. I'd say I was pretty lucky with that one. 3 out of 5. Did anyone get 5 out of 5? I haven't seen anything.
No, well, that's kind of what you want, isn't it? And 5 should be. Ooh. Quite a few 1 out of 5s.
I don't know, you often don't get. Oh, 5 out of 5. Oh, time flies.
Time flies.
You're the only one we've seen, though.
Chronics, someone who got 0. Sorry, Chronics.
Oh, there's one other 5 out of 5. Chaz Andolf.
I think it's Chazando LFC.
Oh, sorry.
I know that because he's a Liverpool fan, so I think the L is Chaz.
Not a Liverpool fan here, can you tell? Chazando.
I think because he's often asking about going to Anfield, so I think Chronics Chaos 7081 got 0 out of 5. Do I get a wooden spoon? Sorry, we're not.
Do I get anything for 3 out of 5?
You get to come back next week.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Do I get to write the quiz next week?
Are you?
I might be.
Do you? Ooh,
I might be writing the quiz. Who will it be for?
Let me check.
Not sure.
Let me check. It's the 21st next week, isn't it?
I'll have to think of a good theme.
Yeah, it's you and Aidan next week.
Cold. Oh.
You've got to go. He's a tough nut to crack.
Well, as we know from last week's Snow Fanatic, Aidan. So will he know everything about snow and cold weather?
He will know. He knows everything about everything. To be honest, he will. Yeah.
He does know everything about everything. I'm surprised he hasn't sent something in to correct me.
Well, because we're doing. You know, you've smashed it at the board. There was a little bit. You were the first time you're using the touchsime for a year, wasn't it? So there was a little bit.
Yes, yeah.
And Aidan's been updating the graphics.
And he's changed it as well.
Yeah.
Aidan, if you didn't know, is the mastermind behind that touch screen. When I left over a year ago, there was all sorts going on, hidden buttons in there. It was a little bit of a fudge, but now it is an absolute masterpiece, I have to say.
It is really good. He's done a very, very good job. We get a lot of love for that. So yeah, he does very well. So yeah, don't ask him about graphics. You have to ask him about sport. He's not very good on sport.
Oh, okay.
Top tip. Right, other stuff that we've been up to this week. There was a new climate conversation video posted. I think it may have been posted last week, but kind of relevant because we're getting our air down from the Arctic, and it's a bit about Arctic sea ice and how the Arctic is warming up faster than the rest of the world, and the ice is melting. And here's a little clip from Climate Conversations.
Let's look at the bigger picture and get some sort of understanding. Now, when it comes to Arctic sea ice, just how quickly is it melting? How quickly is it disappearing?
Since satellite records began in the late 1970s, we've observed a loss of Arctic sea ice throughout the season. The largest loss is at the end of summer, in September into October, when we've seen, on average, a loss of about 80,000 square kilometres per year, which is an area about 4 times the size of Wales.
That's a remarkable rate of loss, and so no wonder, I guess that's been the driver behind you looking into this in such a passionate way.
Yeah, you can check out that full video on our YouTube channel. Climate Conversations is a series, post one a month approximately, about climate, and we have some of the best scientists in the world in this very building. So we interview them about various topics. Really interesting one that people were really interested in that subject and how the melting sea ice could affect our weather patterns. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for all the questions.
Thank you for the quiz.
Thank you for being a sport. Thank you for talking everyone through all of the weather warnings. It is quite a serious weather situation out there. It's going to get worse through this afternoon. So if you're thinking, oh, it's not that bad at the moment, the peak will be, I think, in the next few hours into this evening. It's not going to be a very pleasant evening rush hour at all. And there's a real likelihood of some significant flooding, particularly in those amber warning areas. So do go and check whether you are in those amber or yellow warning areas. They are on our free app and our free website. Another channel you can catch us on is Spotify. All of our main videos are on Spotify, so you can catch us on there as well. That's how you do it.
You can get everything on Spotify, can't you?
Yeah. So that's how you do it on your little phone, scrolling
Very
up
nice.
and down. So if you're on Spotify, follow us on there. You can see all of our long-form videos on there as well. As I said, if you are watching this after the event, if you're not watching it live, lots of people can't watch it live on a Friday afternoon, but do keep your comments and your questions coming in and we'll try and answer as many. Or if you've got something you want us to talk about or a different video that you want us to make, again, we're all ears. But
always following, aren't we? Thank you so much for joining us on the quiz and for all your questions today. We've had so many. I wasn't sure. I was asking you, wasn't I? I was like, how many questions do we get? And it varies sometimes, but we've had loads of you asking questions today, which has been fantastic.
Victoria and Rosie, who have been kind of letting us know the questions. They've been, so a big shout out to them. Big thanks to Greg next door for making us look good. He's been running the show, and for Rich as well, who's been dropping in the various bits and bobs. So yeah, thank you to our big studio team who've done a fantastic job. As I said, some pretty serious weather on the way, so do stay safe and keep up to date with all those weather warnings, and we will catch you again live next week. But if you hit subscribe, then you'll never miss a forecast.
Thank you.